So this is the special meeting of the Woodbridge Conservation Commission. Today is October 15th, 2020. First item on the agenda is public comments. And we had no public comments submitted in advance of this meeting, so we have nothing to follow up on. I'm going to move to item 2, which is review and approve the minutes, which then also triggered my brain to say, could somebody take minutes? It'll be light this time for sure.
I will do it again, but I am not kidding. This is the last time.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
We'll figure out well in advance of the next meeting what's going on with minutes. All right, so review and approve the minutes of the September 17th special meeting. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'd like to ask that you note that I abstained from, I think, approving the prior minutes. I think the first item.
Okay. Well, I think we can include that for the actual record. I think if we wanted to, we could include each individual vote if you feel it's important. Mostly it's who made the motion, who seconded, and whether it passed or not. So we can keep it simple. My only correction was that my name in item 5 has an E instead of an O for moral. So was there a second to my motion to approve the minutes?
Sure.
Thank you.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion on the minutes from September? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions?
Well, I should probably abstain since I wasn't part of that meeting.
You can still approve if you'd like.
Okay.
But you can. Okay. And Frank, I'm going to unmute you here. All right, Frank, can you speak up and to make sure we can hear you?
Frank.
Is his device muted?
He is unmuted in my controls.
In Zoom, but his device might be muted.
Oh. Well, we will have Frank abstain, but the motion passes. The minutes are approved. All right. So the next item on the agenda is really the only item to have much content tonight, and that is the proposed cell tower on 118 Newton Road. And I sent around some info ahead of time, and I'm sure folks have caught wind of the proposal otherwise in town. My introduction to it just by happenstance is that I was on Newton Road and going for a morning jog, and a woman came up to me on a bicycle, and she had a mask on. She was putting pamphlets on all the mailboxes, and she stopped on her bike, pulled one out of her satchel, and handed it to me. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is the first I have heard of it.
So I did notice that of all the people who were given the record of it, we weren't on the Conservation Commission. The Wetlands was, different groups were.
Oh.
You might want to highlight to Beth that if things come up like this in the future, that we should be.
Yes.
I actually want to ask Jason, I was surprised this was on the agenda. And what is your goal in having us discuss this? What would you hope that the outcome would be?
I just was looking for a discussion to see if there was any desire as a whole to form an opinion, present something to the Board of Selectmen or not. And because it does have some impact, arguably, on the environment of the town.
I don't know, Jason. I mean, just to start, I completely empathize with the homeowners. And if I was in the same situation, I would be not very happy. I'll just start there. But having said that, this is a private property dispute between private property owners. It has nothing to do with town property or town conserved land. So I don't really see how we have anything, and I don't think so the issues are aesthetics, it's ugly, potentially health issues, although that's uncertain, that's still not a conservation, and house values. Like these are not things that are within the purview of conservation, although they're important issues. And unless we're going to say, okay, let's put it on Elderslie or some like protected land somewhere or some town conserved property, what possibly can we do? We really don't have any, I don't think this is within the scope of our committee, although it's an important issue.
So last night
That's
I
what I think.
watched the Board of Selectmen meeting, and it's actually not even under their purview either. It's decided by a governing body that I think is run at the state level. So the town is able to make recommendations about property. And in listening to the comments from the various selectmen and Beth last night, they are all in the process of trying to identify other properties in town that are not in any residential area and wouldn't require any deforestation. And at this point, I mean, it's not going to be in a residential neighborhood. But I mean, I think that if we wanted to have some kind of comment on it, the best that I think we could probably offer is that it's not something that we support on open land. But I'll tell you that one of the properties they're looking at is water company land. So it might end up kind of affecting us in a side way, but at this point, it's not in our purview.
Yep. And Tracy, for what it's worth, I mostly agree as well that it is a private endeavor. It's purposely, the siting council is purposely state run, not town run, so that when these disputes come up, it's not, it should not be something that's anger against the local officials because it impacts a bigger geographical area. And honestly, it's a difficult thing to change. I distinctly remember the battle back in 2009, 2010, or 2010-11 over on the Shepherd property,
Mm-hmm.
the cell tower that went up over there. And the Conservation Commission got involved at that point as well. So there is some historical precedent. So I just wanted to at least allow us to touch on it in one of our meetings. At that one, the Conservation Commission actually hired their own private attorney and attempted to sue the town, but then turns out that the commission wasn't allowed to do that because the town already had legal representation, and the town ended up suing itself in a weird sideways type of way. It sort of went downhill from there.
I saw they tried to intervene in that state governing body too, and the state said you don't have any standing, which is the same thing that, you know, basically saying it's not within our scope. There's nothing really that we do that fits within this issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. I think on the other hand, the Conservation Commission, its role is to keep the town aesthetics and conserved as much as possible. And certainly some cell towers would not enhance that goal. So, and it's previously, I think the Conservation Commission thought it was within their purview. I think encouraging to get a site that impacts the environment and people as little as possible is something that we can easily do without treading on too many people's, treading too far out of our out of the territory of our purview. But I do agree, the state is got a lot more authority than our town government to figure this out.
Problem is, it's private property aesthetic. So if my neighbor wants to do something really ugly, I'm not going to come to, or that I think is ugly, I'm not going to come to conservation. I'm going to, I guess, go to planning and zoning. It's not it's not involving town land. It's a private property owner.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. But being that it's 160 feet tall or whatever, it's affecting a lot of people's views, whereas most things that affect someone's property affects 2 or 3 people and not, 40 or 50 or the whole feeling when you go up the road. So,
I guess I just don't know what to say, to be honest, because I mean, it's the kind of thing, do we want to be in the position of saying, not in my town, not in our town, this is, some other town, water company property, I abut water company property. I'm not going to be excited to see this tower. So am I going to ask you now to say, hey, this is, impacting my yard and my view now? I don't want this tower. I'm just not, and now that is involved in the town, I guess. There was some kind of town piece to that, but I'm just not sure we should be getting involved with this. It's an important issue. I'm just not seeing how it's related to our work.
well, Jason, is it imminent in terms of all that's happening, or is this something that's going to take a while and we can sort of see how it impacts the town and us over time?
Well, I think, I know that the process has just started. The application has not yet been filed with the Siting Council. At least it wasn't on their website the last time I checked. They're in that preliminary stage where they're notifying all the town officials and local residents. I expect that this process will roll out much like it did last time in Woodbridge, so it takes 6 to 8 months to actually move through. Kate, you might have heard something last night about it in terms of timeliness.
At this point, the town's engaging council and doing a lot of research by talking to other towns who have had this issue. So while simultaneously, looking for other spots to suggest. I think the key one is the water property. At least last night in the meeting, that was the one that the group seemed to be interested in, and then had mentioned that, that would be a great spot because I guess part of it doesn't have a lot of trees and a lot of customers use the water company, and so that the town could lobby on behalf of having it there versus pretty much anywhere else.
Not necessarily our house, but there are houses that are very close to that property too,
Do you remember which water company property it was? Which quadrant of town it was in?
It wasn't up by me, so it was over more like, I would say, between the town hall and over towards like Litchfield Turnpike. That was like Burning Swamp Road, like the other side of town.
I don't know where that is.
Because most of the water company property is over around the reservoir area. And then there's some down by the Oak Lane Golf Course. The reason I ask is just because there's already a cell tower on the Shepherd property. So if you relocate the tower that direction, well,
the dead spot, I think, is in Newton Road towards 67. That's where, at least I'm aware that they're wanting to.
Definitely the cell signal around my house is terrible. And I'm in that little valley on Racebrook Road, so.
So do you think we could just keep an eye on it and each get a little more information and revisit it as a lesser topic at another time and see if it seems appropriate that we.
Yep. Yeah, I had no specific direction to go with this. I just wanted to get the feeling of the members of the commission, knowing that there was precedent for having an opinion filed in the past. And it seems at the moment the consensus of the group is that we've learned from the past and we realize that this is something that's a bit beyond our control. We can make recommendations, particularly if it starts leaning into town-owned property specifically.
And maybe when they have 3 sites that they're thinking of, we could ascertain if there's any conservation benefit to one versus the other.
Yep. I am also going to approach Beth to also let her know that we would like to be included in the notifications of this, particularly in terms of making recommendations on properties, because we do look at other properties. Maybe they're pushing it over to the commission on the use of publicly owned properties. And I'm actually going to be the liaison to them on Monday. So I'll see if that pops up on their agenda.
Yeah, that is more relevant to us if they're looking at publicly owned properties.
So people that were included was wetlands, Robert Glee, town planning and zoning, Christine Sullivan, managers, regulatory real estate, Andrew Valendio, and some other structural consulting groups and stuff like that. So yeah, I think if we were on that list in general, it would be good.
Yep. All right. And the last item on the agenda tonight, chairman's report. My report is very small. Just to think about as we come into the winter, and what can we do as a town to encourage people to get outside and be as active as we had been over the summer, but in the winter. So I know Betsy was hoping that we would be able to maybe lead 1 or 2 trail walks throughout the winter, socially distanced, of course, spread out on a trail, or any other ideas that you might have that the commission might kind of spearhead to engage people and make sure that they're getting out and staying active in the colder months.
A great idea, thought. You know, it might be interesting to brainstorm for 10 minutes sometime. Resources, trails, skating, you know, just ideas so that we can put a few ideas out, even if we don't do a specific walk, or even if we do a specific walk, like where people could go and what they could do.
Something a lot of people in town do is geocaching, and that is certainly socially distanced. You can do that on your own. I don't know if we could somehow do some conservation type thing related to that. I don't know. Just kind of brainstorm.
Just a funny side note on geocaching. Apparently there was an emergency call because someone found a geocache box and they thought it was actually a weapon. So,
oh no!
Yeah.
Sleepy giant.
So that's all I've got. Short meeting tonight means short minutes for Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
And like I said, before our next meeting, Sharon has officially resigned as our secretary, so we're going to need another secretary to step up. And we still have a vacancy on the commission as well. There was one resident in town who is interested in joining us, but I'm not sure if it lines up properly because we have to have a certain number of Republicans and Democrats to balance things out. It's weird.
And which are we lacking?
I even don't know. Personally, I feel like political affiliations shouldn't matter, but I have a feeling that years ago there was a reason that political affiliations were super important for proper representation.
Do we know if it's like if I change my affiliation, does that become a problem if I'm already on here?
I think you'd have to leave the commission and come back. I think it has to do with when you join the commission.
Didn't Leland do that? Didn't he tell us he's registered as a Democrat?
I don't remember. I do remember a discussion, but I don't remember the outcome. It was an odd discussion. So anyway, the point is we've got a vacancy. We might have someone to fill it. Hopefully they can work it out. So, all right, folks. Be
I make
healthy.
a motion to end the meeting.
Yes, I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
When is the next meeting? Because I know Thanksgiving is come. Do we have a?
It is the week before Thanksgiving,
Okay,
November 19th.
got it. Thank
All
you.
right.
All
Stay
right.
well, everybody.
Okay.
Good night.
Nice to see everyone. Bye.